if we're at war, man, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. Or we may both lose and nobody gets to the closing table. But
that was just okay. It was medium. Welcome back, guys. Real Talk Real Estate. My name's Scott Warner, and to my left is
Donovan Johnson with Coldwell Banker, English Safari.
Oh, I didn't do my introduction right. We are both real estate agents. I am with EXP. I'm the Capstone team brokered by EXP. Welcome, guys, to the first pod of 2026. Today, we're going to talk about the thing that people never get to really talk about: negotiations, the behind the closed door discussions that you wish that you can be a part of, but you never really are. Well, guess what? We're opening that door and we're bringing you in.
Yeah. And here's the thing. A lot of people think, well, the negotiations, the offer, the initial offer, and then maybe like a counter, but it's actually so much deeper. And there's a lot of like mini conversations that happened all in between.
In reality, it's a lot of documentation going back and forth between your realtor and the realtor on the other side. You know, you just have to sometimes be friends with these people, but most of the times it's good transactions. It's fun. I enjoy it. And it's a trade craft. You sharpen your tool with it.
So we're going to be breaking down today what actually happens once an offer is accepted.
Most clients think that negotiations end with the price. And as you know, it goes much further than just that.
Yeah, price will get your foot in the door, but it's to actually sit down at the table takes a lot more steps.
Yeah. Terms, timing, certainty, communication, everything that we all talk about is behind just after giving that price. I mean, that price is the first part of the deal. Then we have to talk about, negotiations. We have to talk about inspections. We have to talk about so many other things.
So what I think is interesting, how Scott, you ever gotten like multiple offer situation, but two offers are pretty similar?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how they can still be perceived differently, even though they're similar on paper, but they could be a whole different dynamic.
Yes, they can. And we have to be, and guess what? As agents, we have to be ready to go ahead and it's like unpackaging a suitcase. You can either just throw everything out or you can do it strategically and one's going to be ready to go. But sellers aren't just choosing a number. They're choosing the risk of what is a number is just a number. The terms are the words behind that number.
Right. And depending on your terms can also help you in negotiation, and it reduces the risk of you, I don't want to say losing, but losing money sometimes if you're not able to protect yourself, but sometimes it's just a part of the game and you have to give a little.
This is we're explaining context. We're not just sending documents. We're letting the buyer or seller know where our buyer or seller is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you work, especially with an agent that's a friend of yours, it helps. It greases that wheel. You already have interaction with this person. Like, I've done deals with Donovan. I love to do deals with Donovan because I know that he's a straight shooter. I know that when I'm talking to him, it's going to happen, 9 times out of 10, we're going to get the deal done.
And as far as vetting as the agent, let's say if you're the listing agent, I feel like you're trying to figure out how strong the buyer is, how much financing they have. Like, does it need to kind of happen now? Do they have wiggle room? How flexible are they? Because sometimes, and some FHA is a prime example, is that you see somebody with a loan like that, there's a good chance that the budget and the DTI, debt to income, all that stuff is a little bit tighter. So as your seller, you may have to prep them. They're like, hey, they may need some help, or like we may just be on a very strict timeline, like little stuff like with the appraisal may come up. So it just depends.
Sellers want confidence in the deal that they choose. If it's too risky, you as an agent, you as their selling agent has to do more talk. So if you're able to, come with the buyer and come and talk to the buyer's agent, you're able to position yourself better when you talk to your seller.
Absolutely. And positioning's so big because one, as a professional, we're supposed to be able to break things down into like bite-sized pieces. One of my favorite quotes was Einstein talking about if you can't explain something simple enough, you don't understand it at all. And real estate can be this big, complicated thing, especially once emotions start getting involved. But if we're able to break down the offer and be like, look, even if this price is a little higher, look at everything attached. And I know we've talked about contingencies before in another pod, so feel free to go check that out. But it really does matter to be able to break down the information and just put everything on the table.
And I like how you said it's about us knowing how to communicate and how to break down everything into little bite-sized pieces. It's a calm, clear message. Guess what? That's going to get a better response than aggressive pressure. If you push on somebody to say, look, I need this done right now, I need it done right now, they're not going to feel comfortable about it. And it's for the agents to go ahead and say, hey, look, let's just calm everybody down and let's get this deal to the closing table.
Right. And I'm going to say this about the real estate in general. I had a quote one time from my original broker, the first one, that said, this is a hurry up and wait business, meaning everybody wants to press you, but then all of a sudden you got to wait because it takes time between the emails or underwriting. Everything's kind of like, it's almost like I guess like popping a pimple sometimes. And I feel like people try and rush through it and you leave a bigger scar versus sometimes using like a alternative method. Like, for instance, you ever put like toothpaste on?
Yeah.
All right. I was hoping I wasn't going to be weird. We're supposed to be the toothpaste to a deal because it can look ugly, but we can still get everything out. We just have to. It's not everything about brute force.
Yeah. Not every negotiation move is immediate. Like you said, it takes time to get things done. And when you first hit that, hey, we got a deal done, that doesn't mean that we're going to the closing table tomorrow.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
I mean, it takes time to get things done. You have inspection periods, you have due diligence period, you have appraisals, like you said, all these things.
And timing is important, and having a little bit of finesse, not finesse meaning finagling and being sneaky, but if you're brute and just straightforward all the time, sometimes it could backfire. It's good to keep your cards close to you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's okay to be a little bit, softer in the approach. Hey, we can give them a little bit on their price, and hopefully when we give them a little bit on their price, they'll give us a little bit more on inspection, something like that. Knowing when to push and knowing when to pause is experience driven. If you're just going to push, well, guess what? You're going to have agents to be like, oh, don't work with this person. Don't work with this person. That might be great for some time, but is it great for the long run?
Yeah, some deals you just can't be the bull in the china cabinet, even if you are more of an alpha type. You're dealing with agents at the end of the day, and they're another human being. So You got to be able to. It's just a fine balance, and the good ones are very recognizable. And I think experience does go a long way, because I'm about to be year 4 pretty much, and year 1 and 2 me versus year 3, 4 me. I mean, I'm walking them down,
I mean, that's the thing. Too much pressure can create resistance, but also too much silence can kill momentum.
Facts.
I mean, if you are the type of agent that's like, hey, look, not like, hey, I don't need to worry about this right now, it's on the back. No, do not leave things left on red, because then you start getting antsy on the other side. If that other agent's checking in with you too much, just check in back. How hard is it to type up a text, shoot an email saying we're working on things, we're getting things done?
Negotiation's a balance, not a formula at the end of the day.
That is true. Next, we're going into what buyers and sellers don't realize. I mean, there are things that buyers and sellers think. I'm sure there are sellers that say, hey, I can be an agent. I have Zillow. I have realtor.com. I can do all the things. But guess what? There's finesse behind just looking at comps. Donovan, hit us up with a few things.
Well, in my opinion, people don't realize how much tone matters. And because like what I just said, at the end of the day, you're a person dealing with another person. And sometimes like the snarkiness and if you get kind of selfish, it can turn the whole thing just sour.
And I feel, even though I can consider myself an agent that has experience, I feel like sometimes I still need to work on that. Maybe I don't even mean to sound snarky, and maybe I do. And it's like, oh, wait, did I come off that way? Because the other agent then turned and came off that way. I was like, whoa, this is not where I'm meant to be. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's I'm sorry, pause, reset, to make sure that this deal stays on track.
Absolutely.
And sellers don't always realize how perception shapes decisions. They really do. I mean, one of my old bosses used to say words have meaning. And it's true. Words do have meanings. The way that you say things matter, because if you come off harsh, well, that might be deal done. If you push too much, that might be deal done. Hey, look, the best person gives a little shoulder massage and says, let's get this deal going forward and let's stay on track.
Absolutely. And framing another way is another thing, because you could take something bad and frame it, quote unquote, bad, and frame it in a more positive light. Especially if you can, because one, we're called for the best interest of our client, first and foremost. Second of all, we're both trying to just get to the closing table. So sometimes it takes a personal sacrifice, whether it's like a commission or something, or sometimes it's just you being able to go to the agent and just speak very candid towards them and be like, look, if we want to get this thing done, then I get your guys may be upset about this, but the fact of the matter is, this is all we need to get done in order to close the deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's why communication matters. And as much as the contract language, you have to be able to communicate. Like you said, we've said it multiple times, we're humans on the other side. You have to be able to have that communication down. And as an agent, if you don't have that communication piece down, get it down. Work on it. I mean, you know, you can go have lunch with another agent and just talk to them and say, hey, look, I need a little bit of help on this communication part. Can we do some scenarios back and forth? Hone your craft. Be the best agent that you can be, because if not, it's going to leave you in the dust. And
I'm going to say this to, like, in this section, is that at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be a war. It's more of like a dance. And we're just dancing with each other, because if we're at war, man, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. Or we may both lose and nobody gets to the closing table. But if you make it to where it's an enjoyable experience, even though it was crappy, you can still kind of look at that agent that's one of my favorite things. When a deal's been like crappy the whole time, even if I don't mess with the agent, it's always good to be at the closing table and look at him and like, hey, that was the worst dance of my life. But we're getting paid. And like you said, a dance. It's skill. It's calm.
I mean, calm probably produces the better result. When you go in there and throw dynamite in it, guess what? That's going to cause chaos. Like you said, it's not a war, because in a war, either one side wins, one side doesn't win, or maybe both sides don't win at all. And it's getting to that closing table. The most important work in negotiation usually happens out of sight. It usually is really if you want to call a transaction a battlefield, it is usually happening outside, probably behind closed doors. And instead of having our troops ready to fight, it's how to get to peace. It's how to get to that closing table and figure out how to get paid.
Right. And I mean, it really, all this stuff starts with who you pick as your agent. First of all, first and foremost, who's your general?
Yep.
But when it's done right, it should feel effortless on your part, meaning that imagine if you just hired the right person to do whatever said thing. Like if you hired somebody to do something, you shouldn't have to really worry about it or maybe watch over their shoulder. They should make your life easier.
You're so right. I mean, buyers and sellers benefit when strategy replaces emotion. When you're strategic about things, like you said, a general out on the battlefield. It's not his emotions that's leading it through it. He's being strategic, and man,
clear-headed. You know
that this is something that's hitting me because am I always strategic in the way that I handle things? Strategic matters. Have that agent that you choose to make sure that they are a good general, to make sure that they're strategic about how they either sell your property or work with you to buy a property.
And I'll say this about me personally. I feel like I can like persevere through things and I like to keep going, but sometimes I'll white knuckle things versus taking a moment to maybe think stuff through. So I feel like I'm always learning as well. Please don't ever think I get on here and I am the man. If you go look at my numbers, I am not so yet. But at the end of the day, me and Scott are both learning with each other, two different brokerages, and we still come together as homies and trying to just set the example.
Hey guys, thank you for listening. Real Talk Real Estate. Subscribe, like, share, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart. We'll see you next time.
All love at the bottom.
Game point.